What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA Wise stream. It is Wednesday, November 27th, 2019, day before Thanksgiving, and I am joined by the GOAT, the true OG, as usual, Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening, bro?
What's going on, baby? Just trying to get an update if any other news has popped off on the slate. We already got a couple big hits. Jimmy Butler, history. Kawhi Leonard, expected history. Looks like DeAndre Jordan just got ruled out. He's history. We'll see what else kind of falls as the show goes on. But big slate, doing dirties right before Thanksgiving. Got to get it in on a good slate because no basketball tomorrow. Yeah. Only turkey and football
and turkey. That's right. I'm with you, man. It's a big slate. We're starting to get all this news that's gonna I guess soften the pricing a little bit. There'll be more value opening up, and we'll probably hear a couple other things. So it's interesting. Like as far as chalk goes, there will be chalk, but the chalk I don't think it's gonna be like 50% like it has been. It's gonna be a little lower, obviously, because there's just so many options and so many different ways to play. Real quick, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell, make sure you get notified whenever we do put content out on the channel. We put out all kinds of DFS content, NFL, NBA, all kinds of free stuff here. And if you could hit the like button, guys, we're still chasing those likes. We're giving, and we're looking for the likes, and we will continue to do that. I really have no rebuttal for that for you, no consequence, except to ask you once again and annoy the shit out of you who don't do it, please. If 100-some people watching, we should have at least 100-some views, right? Come on, man. Just hit the damn button. It helps us out. And for those of you that aren't subscribed to WiseTake.com, taking advantage of this awesome free stuff that we've been doing, go check us out at WiseTake.com. It supports us. We have day passes, all kinds of stuff. On a site like today, you can catch Paulie D's cheat sheet, find out his core plays and all that, which he'll update after the show. I have a core plays article, which I'll update after the show as well. Cam does a FanDuel cheat sheet. Stevie Brown does the slate breakdown. We have all kinds of stuff where we try to give you the guys that we're all the highest on, exposure-wise, and breakdowns in general, analysis, all that good stuff. So go check us out at WiseTake.com if you haven't already. And if you have, and you are a true member of the WiseTake Nation, right here. You know that.
Right here, right
now. I guess we should start with injuries, right? You had mentioned some of them. We know you covered a pretty good amount. Matter of fact, let's just jump into the positions, I guess, because when we talk about a guy and why we like him, it's going to be because of an injury, most likely. So we'll just kind of dive in, and as we get information, we will plug it away and do the dirty, as we always do. Paulie, take us to point guards. Any pay-up point guards you're looking into today?
Does James Harden count?
We can, if you want. We can save him for shooting guard, or we can talk about him now. It's your call. It's your world, Squirrel. I'm just trying to get a nut.
All right, we'll talk about a shooting guard. Point guard, I'm not too heavy on. Like, I guess, when I did this research a little earlier, Trae Young was a little more questionable. Now he looks more likely to play, so he's an option. Like, if that game stays close, then he's going to ball out. A team that invites a three, that's kind of his strengths. But, I don't know. I think Milwaukee may just run away with this one at home, so I'm not that into him. You could take a stab at Dame Lillard against OKC. He's really not going to see any good defenders. And he'll probably be pretty low owned, so I'm all right with that. But there's other studs on the slate that I'm a lot more into, and because of how much Harden I'm likely to have, I guess I'll have a little bit of Russ Westbrook in that. Should be fast-paced game. We saw two teams go for like 280 in the preseason, so. That's really it on the high end.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. Trae Young he's expensive. He's been great, and I don't mind. I think you should always grab a little bit of Trae Young because of the upside. And even though he hasn't really smashed against Milwaukee, he should. Like, it fits, right? He's the best 3-point shooter, or at least he's going to take the most, and that's typically how you do damage to Milwaukee. But he is volatile. He's got a lower floor. He does, and the mid tier, I think, at point guard is pretty strong today, or at least like that's what it seems. And so I think I'm with you. Like these pay up guys, I'm good with them. Damian Lillard, all these dudes. The one guy that I'll have a definite exposure to is Russell Westbrook, for the simple purpose of like he's just too cheap. I mean, he can do what Trae Young. Like him and Trae Young have similar ceilings and floors at this point, and he's like significantly cheaper than Trae Young. So I'm with you. Take us down to the mid tier.
Mid tier, Kemba Walker, gonna be very popular. Gonna be very popular, but just too cheap. Seems like a really solid play that I want to get a piece of. Whom else down here? Spencer Dinwiddie against Boston, the usage is really strong. I can kind of get behind it, just because I'm going to have so many teams today. I think you should get a little bit of exposure, but I don't know how much meat's on the bone, but we do like scoring guards against Boston, at least looking back in the last year, and it's sort of continued this year, so I can do some of that. I think Mike Conley is worth a look, especially if Gobert is out. I think that team plays much faster without Gobert, and, the usage kind of spills over to the remainder of the team. And we also have Kendrick Nunn with Jimmy Butler out at 5'5", scored 50 points against them in the preseason. And with no Jimmy Butler, should see a ton of usage. And then you have his running mate, Goran Dragic, whose assist rate's been great this year. And I don't see one of those two not doing well against Houston, who's been one of the best teams to target. So those are kind of the main guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm with you again as far as like the mid tier being like the deepest. Kendrick Nunn definitely becomes more of a standout play. We expect the usage to go up. We're going to want to see what the starting lineup looks like. Justice Winslow is expected to be back, but Justice Winslow is not necessarily a high usage guy himself. He'll take some, but we know that Nunn is typically quick to pull the trigger and shoot. And being that he's the young guy, if this game does get out of hand, which is definitely possible and get out of hand, I think Nunn is the most likely to continue to get that run. With that said, I'll also have Dragic shares. He also sees a boost. You would expect him to see a boost in minutes. Justice Winslow being back could affect that a little bit, but regardless, when Dragic's on the court, he's going to hold usage. He's going to run the offense. So I'm with you on like a little head situation. Kemba Walker, I expect to be pretty popular on DraftKings specifically. Well, on FanDuel too. He's cheap over there too, but against Brooklyn, I'm cool with it. I'm a little nervous about playing Chalky Kemba. What happened is I went really heavy on Brogdon, and he ended up being I ended up underweight on him just because he was like 70-80% on the other day, and the game ended up blowing out, and he just kind of struggled. And Cleveland is in like a pretty tough part of their schedule as far as travel goes, so I'm a little nervous, on going overweight on him. But maybe like 30% is probably the max, with 20% minimum. You have to have some because he's cheap enough to where if you don't have any and he does do what we expect him to do against Brooklyn, it could get ugly. Ricky Rubio, I also expect to be pretty popular. Hard not to like him though. Assuming that his back issue is completely good, like he's going to see Isaiah Thomas. It's going to be a fast-paced game, highest total game on a slate, I think. Washington Phoenix at 5'5", just real cheap. Hard to say no. And the last guy I'll talk about in the mid-range is Malcolm Brogdon again, who is still underpriced. Brogdon didn't end up giving us the 6, 7, 8, whatever we're looking for against Memphis, but that was because the game blew out and he only got 30 minutes.
He's 6'6".
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the game just got out of hand and he blew out. I mean, he didn't go back in for his last rotation got cut real short, but he was doing the dirty. He was dirtying it up. He was let's go, let's geek. He was gigging. With that said, Paulie, take us down to Value Town.
Yes, sir. There wasn't a ton down here when I initially looked. There's Rajon Rondo, 5K. I do like that. Lonzo Ball, both Rajon Rondo, Lonzo Ball against their former teams. Lonzo Ball is questionable now, so we got to see if he's going to play. If he gets ruled out, that will open up some, super value plays in Nickel Alexander-Walker or Frank Jackson, I would think. So that's one we got to kind of wait out. That game starts at 9:30 Eastern, so we'll have to see. But Rajon Rondo's had phenomenal usage versus former team, little narrative, team that plays very fast. Rondo getting almost 30% usage at 5K. We'll take that. And either Lonzo if he's playing versus his former team, or I'm good with Frank Jackson or Nickel Alexander Walker if he is out. And then Dennis Smith Jr. like playing 15 minutes a game, and then Barrett was ruled out. He got to 20. Great usage. Like, for 3.7, we would pay like 9K for that kind of usage if he was playing 30 minutes. So even if all the Knicks are playing today, I still think the coach who plays the hot hand is going to give him run 15, 20 minutes worth at 3.7. He could 10x that price if things go well. And if he plays more minutes because he is balling, it could be the best play on the slate. Like, it's risky because DSJ could also get you a 6. But I've really liked the way he's played, and knowing the way the Knicks coach is, like, I expect him to kind of play at least 20 minutes today, even if everybody's healthy. And that's it. You're muted, bro.
Damn. It's a good thing I didn't say anything important. I just gave away the secret to the slate tonight, and can't repeat it, obviously, because you can only say it once. I fucked up. I timed it at the time my mic was muted. Sorry, nation. You'll have to wing it tonight.
I thought I just gave the secret.
DSJ, DS Jizzle. I think I don't mind DSJ. If Knox is out, if Knox ends up missing, they've been playing these games where like he's doubtful. Oh, he's questionable, but he's unlikely to play, but he might. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's got to that point. If Knox is out, I like DSJ. I feel a lot more confident about DSJ. In the meantime, I still have interest in him as a value play. Isaiah Thomas is a guy I'm looking at. I know he's been terrible lately. Like, I think last night he had a whole new floor, a whole different level of floor, but his price is also getting down to really low levels considering he's been starting. The minutes have fluctuated. They've been a little up and down, but that's because he's been playing poorly. It's got a soft matchup against Ricky Rubio, and the Suns in general are not a good defensive team. This is a situation where he could do the dirty. If you don't like Isaiah Thomas, then I think that you have to look at one of McRae or Ish, because one of those guys is going to do well. I think, or maybe multiple of them do, but if it's not Isaiah Thomas, I expect one of those guards to be able to take advantage of that situation. And it looks like Paulie is froze with some connection problems, so I'm gonna continue. To roll on this. I think that, if there is one situation we got to keep an eye on. If Ja Morant is questionable, I have a feeling he's gonna try to play. It's the Clippers. I know Kawhi's not there, but it's still the Clippers. Big game last night. He's a young kid. I feel like he's gonna try to play. But if he is out, Tyus Jones would provide a lot of value. We would expect him to see a lot of minutes running point guard. And, so I think Tyus Jones definitely in play. If Ja Morant's ruled out. Going over to shooting guard, I think getting a little bit of James Harden is probably a good idea, especially with Jimmy Butler out. Again, I have some concerns with how close that game stays, but we do have some value opened up in the Clippers, and we're getting more and more as the slate goes on. We'll probably end up with enough. So with that said, I do think that we should. And he's back. He's back. You're back, but you're sideways, bro. Back, but you're back, but you're all sideways, man.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
I was just into shooting guard.
Here we go.
Boom. So that's done right there.
Quick device change,
Got to make it happen some way.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, your thumb is like right out. Your thumb is like right on the camera. Or is that thumb? There you go. There you go.
How about that?
Balling. Shooting guards up top. Go ahead.
So James Harden, right? That's the play of the day, I think, in my opinion. My favorite play in the slate. We'll have a lot of him. Drew Holiday, especially if Lonzo Ball gets ruled out. And that's really it on the high end for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton. I'm going to have James Harden for sure. I personally like Anthony Davis. He's my favorite stud. But I'm going to force in some Harden because I don't think he'll be any higher than 20%, if that. I'm seeing mixed reports. Some places have him really low. Some places have him as one of the highest on the slate. But it's still not that high because the slate is so big and there's so many different options. So I'll definitely have some James Harden for sure. I think you just have to. I'll probably have somewhere around 20% minimum. And depending on the value that opens up, maybe I increase. By the way, Cody Zeller's just been ruled out for the Hornets. Bismack Biyombo will be starting for Charlotte against Detroit. Paulie, take us down to the mid-tier.
What's his price, Bismack Biyombo? Like $4K probably.
He might be even cheaper than that. I'll check.
Nah, he's been playing. He's been playing minutes.
Yeah, 4K.
We got loads of value centers too. So it's like, thanks, but no thanks. And I think Kevin Love's been ruled in. I don't know if you said that while I was...
Is he ruled in? I saw he was a game-time decision.
Well, it wasn't the greatest source that I got that from. So, anyway, Zach LaVine in the mid-tier. DeMar DeRozan, I like quite a bit. Jaylen Brown. The Celtics are just in a good spot all around. And then Buddy Hield from Sacramento. He just went off. And, if Sacramento's going to hang, he's probably having a good game against Philly. He's really like... one of the three kind of basic guys or four guys from Sacramento to try, and he probably has the highest ceiling. But I think DeMar DeRozan, I've really liked the usage ever since DeJounte Murray's kind of got tossed to the second unit. They still got him on this minutes limit. DeMar DeRozan's minutes, his usage have just been very, very solid of late. So that's probably my favorite one. Or Zach LaVine, the Bulls taking on Golden State. That could be just a fast, no defense playing two bad teams, just playing street ball. So, and then DeMar DeRozan against Minnesota. Those are the ones I like the most in the mid-tier.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's if you take pricing out of the equation, the positions, this section is kind of deep between Brad Beal, Devin Booker. There's some really good guys. But I find myself liking just a few, like Lou Williams. I like a lot against Memphis. We like guards against Memphis. Oh yeah. And of course Kawhi's out, so there'll be some extra usage to go around. You mentioned DeMar DeRozan, phenomenal spot. He went for 40-something last time he played Washington. Everybody does that against Washington. And like you said, with DeJounte Murray, playing poorly, being limited, everything combined. It's I thought I saw an update that confused me. Oh, by the way, just to clear up what you said before about Kevin Love. So initially he was ruled in, and then there was an update saying he's a game time decision. So just to clear that up. So he did technically get ruled in for a second, and they updated it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I'm with you, Lou Will, DeRozan. I'm okay with Booker. I'm okay with Beal. I just I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. I think that's what it comes down to. Rather than those two guys who were who were pretty scoring dependent for the most part, and it's very, very expensive. I also don't mind Bogdanovich just because I think everybody's kind of going away. The mid-range play. He's got that hamstring thing, but he's been playing through it. He's doing it, right? He's doing it. He's just sucking it up and getting through it. And we know his usage is massive. In that last game, he didn't have a very good game against Boston, but he did have a 38% usage rate across 29 minutes. Pretty massive. So I do like Bogdanovich from the Kings doing dirties, dropping sevens, take us down to Value Town.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton here, but you got Terrence Ross. He's at 5K. He's always a candidate to kind of go off. He hasn't been great lately, which is kind of when you want to buy in on these guys. And, the star last night, Jordan McRae, I think he's worth taking another shot on. And then Dylan Brooks' price is back down under 5K against Golden State at 4.7. Shouldn't really see much good defense. I can get behind that as well.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Jordan McRae was the guy for us last night. Did the dirty. You and I had a lot of exposure to him. I thought I should have did better based off that. But regardless, he has been playing better in general. Derek White's pretty cheap if you want to take a shot just to get exposure to that game. I'm cool with that. RJ Barrett was a guy that I kind of skipped over in the mid tier. I do expect RJ Barrett to get some to get like a full slew of minutes. I expect him to play well. He's going back home to Canada. For those of you that don't know, RJ Barrett is actually Canadian, and this is his first NBA game in his home country. So, and I think whether the game blows out or not, they play Barrett regardless when they feel like it. I know his minutes have been reduced a little bit lately because Fizdale got some criticism for playing his dudes, but I think in this situation, given that it's against a good team, if RJ Barrett's playing well, he'll let him play 39 minutes today. I really think that's a possibility. So, not gonna take a huge stance because it is the Knicks, but I'll have some Barrett for show. And as far as value, Malik Monk is kind of interesting, Paulie. They dropped his price. Did you see his price? I figured you'd like that. He's like 4-1 today.
I actually missed that. I'm not really into that game a ton, but he actually, if they do kind of get beat, like he may get a little additional. I can always play him. But it's Detroit. It's two slow teams. Detroit's got major size advantage, so it's just hard choosing which guard. But yeah, and I guess we should mention Tyler Hero as well too from Miami.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tyler Hero on FanDuel he's 4,900. He's a lot cheaper over there. I mean, on DraftKings it's fine. You get the extra for the 3-pointers. He'll certainly have to be relied on to take more shots against 3-point heavy shooting Houston team. Take us over to small forwards up top.
Small forwards. So LeBron James, obviously, he's not my favorite play even on his own team. And with Rondo back, I think he's going to not have as high a ceilings as normal, but it's still LeBron James against a very fast team that has no one that's really going to shut him down. And, last year, that trade deadline rivalry, like there's going to be some emotion in this game. And, I think, he'll hit hot spot. I think he'll get the assists. I think he'll get their scoring. It's just how high can he go as compared to some of the other studs on this slate. And, then we kind of have Brandon Ingram and Paul George that have the most next interest, especially with Kawhi out, Paul George, Clippers, big usage. And then Brandon Ingram, as long as Favors remains out, and even when Favors is back, like he's their go-to guy now, and he just gets such good usage, and it's his former team as well. And that's it.
I completely agree. Right now, based off pricing, based off everything, I think I have them ranked in order of Brandon Ingram, Paul George, LeBron James. Price has a lot to do with that. But Ingram is the cheapest of the three on FanDuel. He's 8.8. On DraftKings, he's like 8.3. Either way, he's cheaper than PG and LeBron both. I mentioned I'm taking I like Lou Will. I may take a higher stance on Lou Will, which may in turn reduce my Paul George shares a little bit. Maybe I have him like 20 and 30 instead of the 40 that maybe I would have in a normal situation if I wasn't so big on Lou. But not that you couldn't play them together, but I think Ingram's got the narrative going. He's pissed. I mean, he was he was supposed to be the guy of LA. They were comparing him to Kevin Durant. And he got thrown, for one player, he got tossed in with a bunch of other guys, young guys younger than him. And I know he's got something to prove. He's never played like this. The way he's playing this year, we've never seen him really play like that consistently for the Lakers. And so I agree. I think at the very least he's just going to want to show up. He's got a high game total. We haven't seen the Lakers with high game totals very much this year. They're getting paced up pretty dramatically. I expect pace of this game to be played fast. I like Ingram. I'll have some of LeBron, but I'm higher in AD. That's how I'll answer that. And then Paul George makes perfect sense. Memphis is not just bad against point guards. Let's be real. They're bad against everything. They're just not good defensively. They just can't. Probably take us down to the mid tier.
Yep. So there's options in the mid tier at this position. I was kind of heavy on Evan Fournier last slate. He let me down, but the usage is big with those two guys out, and I'm going to go back with that kind of usage at his price. Kelly Oubre in a revenge spot. Didn't love the fact that we got word that Rubio was going to be back, but he's still been great, and this is going to be like a phenomenal pace game. Like Jason Tatum, that was a little more so when I didn't think Kemba was going to play. And then Ben Simmons has been playing really, really well. And Sacramento really shouldn't give him much problem. So, like him as well.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think I like the Oubre call. I'm not gonna have he's not a core player or anything, but I think why not? He's been playing really well. I know Rubio's back, but I mean, Oubre's still gonna do Oubre. Oubre's a very emotional type player. You ever see him play? He gets into that shit. Like I'm surprised he doesn't get in more fights. Only because he probably pisses people off. He'll shoot 2 for 15 from the field, then make one dunk when his team's down 20, and he'll still get all pumped and just be like, oh, if I'm on the opposing team, I'd be like, are you fucking serious? I feel you know what I mean? Bro, you're fucking terrible. You're shooting 10% today. But with that said, there's some narrative action, so he's got a low floor. You know how that goes, but he's got a pretty good ceiling for the price. So I think it makes sense. Ownership will be low, and I want exposures. I want the most exposures to the best games, and that's one of the better games. So that's pretty simple. Tony Snell will play. Okay, min price. Take us as far as the mid tier goes. That's pretty much it because of how heavily I am into the three guys up top, and then him. So take us down to Value Town.
Yeah. So J. Michael Green became an option earlier today. With no Kawhi, we've seen him go for their high 30s and 40s before. Shaq Harrison, I'm not in love with, but we really didn't have a ton of value earlier. He's probably more of just a 5% guy. But Jared Culver, I expect to start again for Minnesota, and I really like the usage he got. He's part of the reason I'm not that into what's his name, Andrew Wiggins, and guards have been smashing against San Antonio. So I'm into those three right there. And more so the first two, J. Mike and Culver.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I think that Mo Harkless is interesting. He's obviously another one of those real low flow players. I like JaMychal Green, who we'll talk about at power forward more, a lot more. But I will have some more Harkless because he is going to benefit. You would think he's going to benefit for some minutes with Kawhi Leonard out. Being as how he's still in the rotation and Kawhi Leonard's been there. So I expect him to see an increase as well. Kyle Kuzma, maybe a guy you could talk about a power forward too, but I think he's kind of interesting, right? Nobody's really talking about him, and he was the one left behind talking about, all right, I'm part of the future. I guess I was the best one. He's got to be feeling that way. You know what I mean? He's got to be feeling that way. But last guy I'll mention here, Tony Snell, who I just mentioned got ruled in. He's 3K on DraftKings, and he really just shoots threes. So it's not a play I would go crazy on, but I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? They've been fairly thin. They're playing guys minutes. He's 3K. I'll sprinkle some in there. Tony Snell.
Are you really?
If you really needed it, man, for 3K, he even projects well, but his last two games were terrible. But before that, he had a game where he went for 24. Then he had a 19, then a 33, then a 13, which sucks, but then a 20. It's if you wanted to get a little cray-cray, you know what I mean? If you wanted to sprinkle, if you were trying to figure out how to make AD and Harden work, you know what I mean? You might need a guy like him, you know what I mean? That's all.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Okay. That's all I'm saying, man, Take us over to power forwards up top, Paulie.
I'm just thinking about that picture of him, and they said that this is Draymond Green without Steph and Clay.
Well, he can at least shoot a little bit. Draymond's just a lost cause, man.
Power forward up top. I do like AD quite a bit. I like Pascal Siakam against the Knicks. That's a phenomenal spot. And then I don't really plan to get too much Giannis coming off a career game and doing the dirty everywhere. But this matchup doesn't offer resistance. And I really hate saying I'm not going to play him, so I'm going to blow him out. Because if they blow him out, he's going to, be the reason, especially with Middleton being limited. I think I was more so all right, Middleton's coming back. The usage will kind of come away. But if Middleton's going to be limited, it is a good spot for Giannis. And I don't expect him to be that popular.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It's a shot, man. If that game stays close, it's going to be so low owned that you just hit the jackpot. But if the game does blow out or Middleton plays more than we're expected, then You know, because you think about it, he's 12K. He can go for 80. He went for 80 against Utah, but if he doesn't,
He's like 12-4.
right. So if he doesn't go for that 70, 80,
Yeah,
then was it worth it? I don't know. How does he do it?
I
There
don't
you
know.
go. Power forwards up top.
Yeah, I'll give you one guess, which Nick I'm going to play a lot of today.
This is last name rhyme with handle.
Yes, it does. There's also a couple other plays there. We got LMA, Bigs against Minnesota. This is a spot we pretty much always play LMA. And then Nemanja Bjelica, part of that Sacramento Kings that I'm into.
I'm with it. Bjelica. I don't think there's anybody on the planet, and like, don't get me wrong, you've been pretty right with him, but I don't think there's anybody on that planet who's played Bjelica more than Paulie D. And I'll admit though, Paulie's had a really good gauge on Bjelica. I'll give you that. Yeah, Anthony Davis is one of my favorite plays on the slate. Revenge narrative aside, he's 10K. He's got that upside. Like, I think 60 is like a likely outcome for a lot of these guys, right? LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Harden, maybe closer to 70, but 60 is like that sweet spot that you're even looking for. And Anthony Davis giving you a 60 would be that 6x. So I'm with it, man. I like Anthony Davis a lot, especially on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I understand, but I also think the position isn't that great on FanDuel, so that I kind of like him over there as well. I just like him more on DraftKings. Aside from that, I know you rolled into the mid tier, and Rashawn Holmes I think is interesting. Montrezl Harrell I think is interesting. I'm cool with Randall, but that's one of the reasons I like AD so much is I like him way more than I like like pretty much everything else here. Take us down to Value Town.
Yeah, so we touched on Kuzma already. I also like Rudy Gay on the second unit coming off a dud game, but Minnesota, a team that doesn't guard wings very well, and now they're like kind of depleted there, missing a few people. And then check Diallo, Smash City in Phoenix, and Washington's a team that gets killed by power forwards. So Kuzma, Gay, Diallo, take your pick. I like them all.
Kuzma, Gay, Diallo. My favorite value forward is probably Jermichael Green. It's got a little bit of revenge. Did play for Memphis. Got a little bit of that narrative going, but he's just really cheap. And I think I like him more than Harkless because I think offensively he's a better offensive player. He shoots better. He can get some rebounds. And yeah, I like Jermichael Green. I expect him to see some time. Paul George is playing. I expect Paul George to play, get his minutes. But again, with Kawhi gone, they got an opening, and I think we'll see him come in to help a little bit on the boards. Memphis is not a very good rebounding team in general. At least they haven't been so far this year. So they're going to Sims. I like Rui Hachimura is like 4,300 on DraftKings. It's really, really cheap. I know he's been bad. He's a rookie. He's got to learn some learning. But he's going to be matched up with like Dario Saric, man. You know what I mean? He's going to be matched up with Dario Saric.
Yep. Who grabbed like 17 rebounds last time.
Yo, he had the game of his life last time he played. He did.
Yo, though, he used to do that. I mean, not 17 rebounds, but he'd score 30 points every time Embiid was out, and
but like,
this was a little different.
He's had the opportunity like 5 games in a row now, and he did it once. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's been in the same spot. Like, Baines has been out for like 4 or 5 games, and he finally did it once. But I am with you. He obviously has potential. And the matchup's not. I mean, it's Washington. It's 2 teams that suck against bigs. It's like, who sucks more? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
it's a suckathon.
100%. Perfect name. Trademark. Can't use it. It's ours. We own it. Lock it. Let's go over to centers, Paulie. Take me to the top of centers, man.
All right, centers is loaded because I mean there's like 5 good plays just in value that are really solid, and I like Joel Embiid. I think it's pretty obvious, and then Andre Drummond is an absolute smash spot again. Maybe there's some blowout risk, but I mean, honestly, it's actually like a little worse getting more Biyombo. He's actually a decent defender, but Andre Drummond does dirty there. So those 2 are the only ones I'm really considering at the high end.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how much I can actually come up here. Like, I'd love to get some Cat. I like some of the mid-tier and value guys so much that I just don't have a ton of room, especially because I am playing Anthony Davis so much. I'm just not leaving myself with a ton of room for these guys up top. But yeah, Drummond would be my favorite probably against Charlotte, who's just Awful. It's the same thing with Blake Griffin. Like we didn't talk about Blake. I'd love to have some Blake. I just don't know if I have enough because I like the other guys I like more. I don't know if I have enough to actually reach them without taking away the exposure that I want on the guys I really like. So, I'm kind of stuck there. On the other hand, though, when all else fails, I'd rather play the late games always. Just lower ownership, everything. It's been our thing.
West Coast.
Tyler just got ruled out. That's got a big boost to Mr. James Harden. Westbrook 2 for rebounds, right? Where's the
Is the Manimal still available? They got him on speed dial. That'd be good.
That'd be glorious.
And price, that'd be sick.
They didn't re-sign him. Look what's the.
I know he was balling last year.
NBA
like
is messed up, man. Dude is a hero.
Yeah.
DFS legend. WiseTake legend. But yeah, I'm with you on the centers. Take us down to the mid tier.
Mid-tier, baby. Who do we got? Oh, yeah, so there's a lot of plays here, too. You mentioned Rayshawn Holmes at power forward. Since Bielitsa is power forward only on DraftKings, I use him as the power forward, Rayshawn Holmes at center. But we got the two bigs from Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been playing phenomenally, and Joe Val, who kind of had the beginning of a bounce-back game, and could be more milk on the bone there. Meat on the bone. Milk on the bone.
More milk on the bone. Nice. Nice.
Bam Adebayo. No what's his name? No Jimmy Buckets. And, I like the way Bam has been playing this year. He's involved in like all stat categories. Should see a little usage boost. And then we got Wendell Carter Jr. against Golden State, the new nut spot for centers. He's a little pricey, but he can go for 40. So a little bit of interest there, but still the value is what really interests me. This position.
Boom, shakalaka. One of my favorite plays today is actually Thomas Bryant. I think, especially on DraftKings where you get the double-double bonus potential. Last year, Thomas Bryant had 2 games against Phoenix, and Phoenix has been terrible against centers. With Ayton, without Ayton, doesn't matter. He went for over 50 DraftKings points in both games. So I do like Thomas Bryant. I like him on FanDuel too because he fits that mid-tier build when I was like looking at the different builds with Lou Will and all these other guys who I talked about. So I like Thomas Bryant quite a bit. I think I like Jonas Valanciunas. Obviously, if I'm playing all these Clippers, I'm hoping that game stays close. I think it will. Ja Morant is fine. I'm a little worried with the Pat Bev matchup. But Joe Val's got a phenomenal matchup. Now, with that said, he could definitely get into foul trouble because sometimes with those big dudes, like when he puts if he put a shoulder into some other big, like Drummond, it doesn't look that bad. When he puts one into Harrell, who's like 4 inches shorter and like 20, 30 pounds lighter, and Harrell goes flying back, now it's a foul. So I like Joe Val. I'll have a good amount of him, but I think I'm going to have some backup shares of like Brandon Clark just in case, because either way, it's a good spot for bigs. It's just a matter of like, is Joe Val going to be able to like finesse his way to dominate the paint, or is he going to screw that up and Clark's going to have to come in and be the hero? But it's a really good spot for a Memphis big against the Clippers. For certain. After that, I think Miles Turner is a guy I'll have a little bit of just because like he always projects well. He's 6K. Utah has not been good defensively, even with Gobert. So I'll have a little bit of him, not a ton. I like a lot of these centers. So like Paulie said, I can't designate too much, but take us down to Value Town.
Yeah, so Mitch Robinson, give me some of that. Going to be coming off the bench most likely, and kind of got into foul trouble last game. I doubt he does in this one. Toronto really doesn't have much size after Gasol, who he shouldn't run into very much. Mo Bamba, don't know what happened to him. He was like at 8x at halftime, finished at like 8.2x last game, but he's the clear play between him and Kem Birch. Even if Kem Birch outscores him tonight, like 8 times out of 10, Mo Bamba's going to outscore them if minutes are the same. We got Nerlens Noel, whose like price won't go up, even though the minutes have just been solid, and he's pretty much been like 6.5xing 3 games straight. We got Bismack Biyombo, who became a play just now. Willie Cauley-Stein, who hasn't really been very relevant this year, but this could be the spot, who's also very cheap. And I ain't playing Tyson Chandler, but is there anyone on Houston that maybe is now? No, I guess not. I guess it's just like the Newell House and guys like at the forward position.
Yeah, no, I agree. Willie Cauley-Stein, my favorite. I also kind of like the one of McGee or Howard. I think I prefer McGee a little bit. But I don't mind that situation either. With Jackson Hayes as their only big, and it being a rookie, again, I don't expect. New Orleans has been giving it up to the big. So again, I like Anthony Davis. I'm bigger on him, but they're cheap, so you can work them in. But I do like Willie Cauley-Stein quite a bit in this situation against the Chi-Town Bulls. And like you said, all the value guys you said, I'm not going to reiterate. You hit him with it. You hit him with it, dirty style. Mitch Rob, dirty style.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for the breakdown. Nation, those of you subscribe to WiseTake.com. If you have any questions, get them in the chat now. Me and Paul are going to do some top threes. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. We're answering questions from those subscribed to us at WiseTake.com that are watching this show from the WiseTake page. Tyson Chandler will start. Understood. With that said, Nation, get your questions in, if any. And Paulie, we're going to do some top threes. So top three. We'll do top three studs, top three mid-tier, top three value. That sound good? Top three studs.
That was good to me. Harden, AD, and probably Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. I would say the same. I think Anthony Davis, James Harden, and then I think Paul George or Ingram. One of the two.
Right? Yeah. One of them two.
Top three mid-tier plays.
Mid-tier is deep. Lou Williams, Kemba Walker, and Julius Randle.
And I'm going to go with Lou Williams as well. Number one, Kendrick Nunn, Thomas Bryant, Paulie, top three value plays.
Mitchell Robinson, Dennis Smith Jr., and Kyle Kuzma.
And I will go with JaMychal Green, Mo Harkless, and Willie Cauley-Stein. That's going to be the top threes. Question time. All right, Nation's been chill with the questions, man. I mean, I guess we've come to that point in the season where, like, but we remember we was getting a lot of questions. I think we're at that point.
This is a big time party day. People are just.
I mean, they're there. They're just quiet.
They're there.
Reserved. LG, shout out to LG. What's up, LG? Shout out to Huey, man. Huey, one of our NHL guys, has just been smashing every night. Like, I mean, the dude's had to have won about like $20,000 by now. I mean, it's in like a month. Right. I just don't want to,
Like in the last like 3 days, I think he's won.
It's been wild. Shout out to Huey, man. He's one of our.
Huey.
He hangs out in NBA Slack chat. He's actually our hockey guy. But we may have to have him, do some guest spots on here and talk to. He's a FanDuel player too, so bring him on here.
How do you think his neighbors feel right now?
Oh, his neighbors are dirty, bro. And I would feel dirty. Oh man,
it must be rough. You've been doing it to him every night.
If his neighbor would watch the show, his neighbor would have done the dirty first, so he didn't get the dirty done to him. You understand? You know what I mean?
Right. That's a good point.
We have a question from First Take. What two studs would you pair on FanDuel for JPPs?
On FanDuel, I really am not a huge fan of Harden as nearly as much. The scoring system's just like way worse for him there. So I'm gonna stick with AD, and then like I'm fine if you want to like play like an Embiid or a Giannis or Paul George instead of Harden, and stick to the guys who get the blocks or the steals. Although Harden can do that too. I shouldn't say he never does, but he doesn't get the extra point for the threes. Yeah, probably AD, Paul George if I was on FanDuel.
Yeah. AD, Paul George, AD, Brandon Ingram, somewhere along those lines. Those when I was messing around with it earlier, right in the article, those were the builds that I was finding. I was landing on the most, so I would agree with that, as well. With that said, we are gonna get out of here. Paulie, appreciate you joining me as always. Nation, good luck tonight. If you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, again, we do have day passes available, $2.50. You'll get access to all the NBA content. Only thing you don't get is a Slack chat. Slack chat is for monthly members or higher, which I recommend. But even if you want to try the content out, Paulie D's cheat sheet will be out with his core plays for cash and GPPs highlighted. We already got cams up there for FanDuel. We've got the slate breakdown up. And my core play article is up. Just be on the lookout for any updates as always. It's, we hear news, we got to react. We got to do what we got to do. With that said, for Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.